Hi guys, welcome back to EuroLeague, and today we'll be discussing the Ballon d'Or and just how the top 30 players were rated and ranked by journalists across the world, and just my viewpoint on on how the day went. So let's get started without further ado. Um, Before we get started on the actual list, I think there's a fair few names that ought to be mentioned who I thought were very unlucky to miss out on this top 30. I think I'd have to start with William Pacho, who was extraordinary for PSG. Yes, they had, I believe, 9 to 10 players in the top 30, but I think he was very unlucky to miss out. I think Omar Marmoush, propelled Eintracht Frankfurt and Manchester City to top four in both respective leagues, over 45 goals and assists. Could consider himself very unlucky to miss out as well. Tijani Reinders was the heartbeat of AC Milan last season, and without him, whilst Milan had a disappointing season, I don't think, without Reinders' contributions, they would be anywhere near the top half of the table. So I think he was extraordinary and deserved a shout out as well. So also I think Alexandro Bastoni was really really good. I think Inter's best player last season. I don't know how he continues to get overlooked. Uh, but as we know with Ballon d'Or, these are nowadays a PR award, PR ceremony, and I think he unfortunately, gets left out far too often for my liking because he's undoubtedly one of the best centre backs in the world. But yeah, I think he's also very much hard done by. But yeah, let's get into the top 30. So on 30th was Michael Olise. Now this decision was just very grievous, and it really got to me from the get-go, really, because this for me, Michael Olise was the second best winger in the world, in my humble opinion. Last season, over 50 goals and assists in his debut season. He was Bayern's best player, arguably, if you ask a lot of their fans. Even if not, you're talking alongside Harry Kane, their most influential, most prominent figure. And he really led and spearheaded Bayern Munich. He was at the heart of each and every move of theirs, every game of theirs, and he remains to be a pivotal part of their project. And I just thought he was extraordinary. Really, he had such an instant and immediate impact, and his quality was undeniable. He was named Bundesliga Player of the Year, over the likes of Florian Wirtz as well, who we'll get on to. So for him, yes, it's his first nominee, and I know that always plays kind of a role, but for him still to be finishing 30th, it doesn't really add up, doesn't make sense. Because I don't think you can watch last season and tell me there were 29 players better than Michael Olise. For me, he had a shot to be even top 20 at the very least. I would not be I would not be aggravated if you finished even the top 15 for all that matters. So yeah, I think that was very bizarre and yeah, really just hard done by again. So not the best way to kick off the night. Number 29th was Florian Wirtz. I think, again, didn't really have the best of season. He got injured, was out for a couple months as well last season. Of course, Leverkusen didn't have the same magic. But even so, I didn't think Florian Wirtz was that good. If you just talk about Olise, these two matched up in the Champions League and in the round of 16, I believe. And Olise and Bayern Munich absolutely demolished Leverkusen. So I don't know on what front, even if we look at output, if we look at eye test performances, I don't think you can really, I don't think words can have a say that he had a better season than Olise. In no word can you really come to that conclusion. I think, again, when we talk about PR, I think that's where words comes in as well. Just because he secured his big money move to Liverpool, I think that always plays a role. We've always seen transfers also kind of impacting some of the positions. So I think that was very much the case for Florian Wirtz as well. So yeah, a bit bizarre again. Next up, 28th, we have Virgil van Dijk. Again, I thought very hard done by. Um, I thought he's amongst the world's best centre backs, last season, and I think he had a very strong say to finish in the top 10, even maybe at the very least top 15, because without him, Liverpool probably don't go on to win the league. The captain, the leader, the legend he is the real backbone of that club. And defensively, he's a one man unit. He really carries and leads the defense by front. By an example. And again, for me, it doesn't make any sense how he's ranked that low in the list. Yeah, really, really bizarre again. Number 27 was Declan Rice. I don't think he was even worthy of a nomination, if I'm being very honest. I think he had a decent season by all means, but if we're being very honest and very critical, he wasn't even the best midfielder at Arsenal. I thought Thomas Partey had a better season. But this is what happens when you score two free kicks against Real Madrid in a Champions League quarter-final, and that's what really elevates your name and status, and that's what got him into the top 30. I don't envisage a world where if he doesn't score those free kicks, I don't see him making the top 30, to be honest. So, but yeah, again, for him to be there and be placed ahead of the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Michael Olise, again, for me, it's just really bizarre and undeserving, if we're being very honest. 26 with Erling Haaland. By all accounts, he didn't have his greatest season. Um, but he still scored, I think, over 40 goals. And yeah, so he's still again a very influential figure. He's the best striker in the world, right? And when you go off those metrics, I don't think it's you can really again quantify the best striker in the world. One of the undoubtedly one of the best players in the world to be ranked that low, irrespective of the season. I think again you can make a case, but I'm not going to get too much into Holland. I think yeah, had a good season still individually, but he still wasn't at his best. So I don't think there's too much he can complain maybe as well on his 26th position. Number 25 was Denzel Dumfries. Again, I just think if any of you all watched Inter last season, especially in the Serie A, I don't, with all due respect, I don't think he's worthy of even being in this nominees. Um, I think again, just because he had two monster performances against Barcelona in the Champions League semi-final, that really amplified and alleviated his name into these conversations and into the top 25 footballers in the world. Because I don't think he can really have a say. I don't think you can have a player who isn't the most comfortable on the ball really that high. But fair play to him. He had a good season. He definitely had a good season, so he deserves a shout out, but I'm not sure about top 25 to be honest. I think that's rather high. Number 24 was Fabian Ruiz. I think again, I'm not really for this. I think he deserved a higher position. I thought he was outstanding. He was the heartbeat of the PSG midfield that won everything there is in club football last season. And then if you look at Spain, he was a pivotal part as well of just again another strong international year. So I'm not really sure, why he's ranked that low. He scored a key goal as well against Arsenal in that second leg of the Champions League semi-final uh, to put PSG 2 goals to the good. So I think again it's a bit hard done. He doesn't really have the same publicity or the brand image, the reputation some of the other players probably have on this list. So yeah, bit hard done, but I thought he had a great season, so he definitely deserves to be amongst that list. Number 23, Jude Bellingham. I think it's rather high, to be honest. Again, I don't think he was that bad, but I don't think you could make a case for him top 23. Again, especially if you put into perspective the names below him who had much superior seasons. Yeah, I think it's quite startling again that he's in that company. But yeah, we all know Jude Bellingham and the Madrid tax, dare I say, the propaganda they have and they get. So yeah, Bellingham was the beneficiary of that. Again, number 22, Alexis McAllister had a really good season. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's probably fair. Yeah, I don't have too many issues with that. Number 21, Gerassi. I think it's a little bit high, but I think if we look at Gerassi, last season was not his best per se. The season before last, I thought he was on fire, and he really should have been in the top 30, but he wasn't even nominated. So I think Ballon d'Or kind of made up for that. And yeah, I think still maybe top 21 is a little bit high, but he's definitely worthy of being in that list. And yeah, huge credit to him. Great story. Number 20, Lautaro Martinez. Again, I don't really think you can have a say where he was amongst the top 20 players in the world, but just surely based on the fact that he's Inter's main man and Inter competed. They almost could have in a hypothetical world won the treble. They're this close of winning everything, of cleaning up everything. But yeah, I think just based on Lautaro spearheading their attack, being the main man now at Inter for a while now, he gets his name in there. So that is just that. Number 19, João Neves is where I have serious problems again. To be honest, I think he is just so key to PSG. We also, I think without him, PSG are a different outfit altogether. He's really holds the glue for them, in midfield. We'll get on to Vitinha and how good he was and how influential he is undoubtedly, but I think Neves is just as important, if not more important than Vitinha in that system. And again, Portugal also won the Nations League, so I don't really again have a clue how he's finishing 19th. I think again the fact that it's his first nominee always makes a difference, and probably he doesn't always get the limelight and the appreciation he deserves. Given the position he plays in, given the fact he doesn't score or assist too many goals either, but he is just an extraordinary player. Yeah, really exceptional midfielder, and I think we'll be seeing him in this list for a very long time to come because he's that good and he deserves to be named in the amongst elite in world football. Number 18 was Scott McTominay. I think, yeah, very worthy of finishing top 20. Had a great season. Serie A MVP, and he really, led Napoli to another Scudetto, and you can't fault him. He was absolutely everywhere. Um, I think Conte deserves so much credit for profiling him rightly, and he's he's delivered. On that front. He's repaid the trust and the faith Conte had in him, and he definitely deserves his name to be there. It's the first Scottish player in over 40 years to be named in the top 30 Ballon d'Or list. So yeah, huge credit to him. Moving on, number 17 was Robert Lewandowski. I just think again given the name that it's just above, which is Vinicius Jr. at 16th. I'm just going to use that as a comparison. I think, again, there's no way, no world in which you can tell me Vinicius Jr. had a better season than Lewandowski. Lewandowski won, Barca won the Copa del Rey, they won La Liga. And I just don't, Real Madrid won absolutely nothing. Vinicius had a really poor season. Even if we look at output, if you look at eye test, whatever you want to use as a metric, he wasn't up to standards. So yeah, I don't really understand. Personally, if you ask me, I wouldn't even have Vinicius in the top 30 players in the world. Last season, he was well off it. Um, Real Madrid fans will say the same. I just don't get how he's there, how he's above so many credited players who had much better, much acclaimed seasons than him. So yeah, Lewandowski especially as well had a much better season than Vinicius Jr. and over 30 goals again for him, and he at the very least deserves to be above Vinicius. So yeah, make of that what you will. Moving on, number 15 was Victor Gyökeres. I think I'm a bit on the edge with him. I think it's a bit fair, but I think you can make an argument for both cases because of the quality of the league, Liga NOS, where he scored these goals. But of course, he was the European Golden Boot winner. I think he won the Gerd Muller Trophy as well. And yeah, he scored so many goals. He scored over 50 goals. So by the sheer output he secured, like he deserves to be in that list probably. But I'm not sure about top 15. I think again moving to Arsenal also amplified his chances of being up there in the rankings. Moving on, number 14 was Desiree Doué. I think that's rather high again. If you look at last season, of course he had a lot of hype, but first half of the season he was very quiet. He didn't play a lot. He wasn't that impactful. He really got into his groove. Second half of the season he was good, to be fair, no doubt about that. But I don't think he was exceptional or really outstanding. I don't think you can. I don't think he was worthy of being in the top 15. Again, I think it's a bit high because he scored a brace in the Champions League final, which isn't hard to do um, against Marco, to be honest. Who isn't very good defensively. But either way, I think yeah, very good season for sure individually as a team collectively, but yeah, a little bit high for me, if you ask. Number 13 was Harry Kane. I think again for me forever he's because what I recall like with Harry Kane Ballon d'Or, I feel like he's always finishing in like 12, 13, always in this region, and it kind of really gets to me because what more can he do? Again, he had an extraordinary season last season, scoring goals for fun, and I don't know what more he can do really. Um, yeah, it comes back to PR and brand image, and now he's playing for Bayern Munich. But I think Bayern again aren't in the brightest of lights currently in world football. So I still think again he deserves more credit. He deserves more plaudits, and again you can make a case for him to finish in the top 10. I don't think anyone would be grievous if he did, But again, he finished just outside. But again, another top season and undoubtedly amongst the world's best players and the world's best strikers. Number 12 was Kvaratskhelia. I think that's kind of fair. Of course, he won the Scudetto as well with Napoli, got a medal for that, and he was influential. I think that you can make a very strong case that PSG wouldn't win the Champions League without his contribution on the left, how impactful he was from the get go, and he really was a game changer. He did transform the side on the left. He made a big difference, especially when you look at decisiveness, you look at final impact, in the final third. As good as Bradley Barcola is, he probably wouldn't have delivered to the same, quality that Kvaratskhelia did. But I think it's fair, he didn't really have the greatest of start of the season, the first couple of months till he secured to move to PSG. Wasn't that great. He was okay. He was good without being great. So I think 12th is okay. It's rather fair. For him, 11th was Pedri, and for me, this is undoubtedly the most shocking of the like order of the rankings. Um, he's one of the best players in the world. He's one of the best players in the world. Last season, for me, you can make a case of him finishing in the podium in the top three, and I don't think anyone could get mad at that. He was that outstanding. For me, he's the best midfielder in the world. He's Barca's second best player amongst their best player. If you look at just the importance of him, you can make a very serious argument that he's the most crucial player. So yeah, I can't make sense of it at all how he finished 11th. After that season, he was absolutely everything. He controlled the midfield, he dictated the tempo, he added goals to his game everywhere. Even defensively, he improved. If you look at his mileage, uh, his dueling, everything. It was an all-round season from him. I don't know how he can, do it any better than that, really. And for him to still finish that low, for me, I just question the credibility of the award, and yeah, what they're trying to achieve with that because there's no world in which Pedri should be anywhere near 11th. So yeah, the less said about that, the better, I feel like. Moving on to the top 10, 10th was Nuno Mendes. I thought again he could have finished higher, but again there's so much competition. We'll get onto it, but another extraordinary season from him. I think he's the best left back in the world, and just again what him and Hakimi achieved, both down the left and right flanks respectively from fullback, getting the goals and assists they did, as well as being defensively very secure, very strong. I think it's an incredible feat what both of them have achieved. But just on Mendes briefly, yeah, an extraordinary season, extremely talented player, and more than worthy of finishing the top 10 for sure. Number ninth was Gianluigi Donnarumma. Um, yeah, best keeper in the world. He got the Yashin Trophy as well. Again, without his performances away at Anfield, away at Villa Park, Arsenal, both legs, home and away, he was mammoth. He was absolutely colossal. And whilst he didn't have much to do in Munich in the final, he was absolutely pivotal. And he more than made up for the past mistakes and the poor Champions League campaigns he's had since he joined the club. So I think he deserves a top 10 finish, and yeah, very worthy of that ninth place. Number eight, Cole Palmer. Again, I think, like I said, with a few players in this list, I don't think he's worthy of finishing in the top 30. This is a player who just very recently scored his second open play goal in the Premier League in this calendar year. But for the most part of this year, he scored one open play goal. He's had a pretty poor season last season. Even if you look back output, he wasn't that all that. He wasn't that great. He wasn't efficient. He wasn't effective. But with Cole Palmer, one thing you have to give him is that he turns up in the big games. He's a man for the big occasions, and again, being as good as he was in the Conference League final, and then scoring the brace in the Club World Cup final, again, definitely got him where he finished. But again, I don't like that. I feel like Ballon d'Or should be rewarded for consistency as well. In performances, and you can't tell me if you've watched Chelsea, if you watched Palmer last season, that he deserves to be anywhere near top 8, top 10, top 20, even top 30. I don't think he deserves to be there. But yeah, Lord behold, if you score big goals in big games, uh, especially finals, that's what Ballon d'Or cares about. So he gets there by default almost. I wasn't surprised to see his name there, but it's very disappointing. He's not worthy of that. How he can finish eighth, but you have players like Nuno Mendes, Pedri, Olise, Van Dijk. They're nowhere near. So that will always be a puzzle to me, but lo and behold, number seven was Kylian Mbappe. I thought that was rather fair. Top scorer of La Liga. I thought he started slowly last season, but he definitely grew into the season. And yeah, I think there's a sense of inevitability now with Mbappe when he runs through on goal. He's been much improved. Even this season, if briefly, and last season, last 6 months. Since the turn of the year, he's been really, really efficient, and yeah, definitely deserves to be there. Number six was Hakimi, like we briefly touched upon when going over Nuno Mendes. Yeah, really, really extraordinary season. You can make a case that this was amongst the very best campaigns ever a right back has produced, given his output as well. And he was just, again, just such a key figure, the leader as well in that PSG pack, very experienced now. And with Hakimi, I think his quality going forwards has never been an issue. I think that's been undeniable. Even his final output, we saw even at Inter when he was a wing back, Dortmund, we saw glimpses. He has the quality to produce. But for me, uh, the key thing was how good he was defensively. Just how secure, how strong, sturdy he was. You can't really name any winger who really got past him or who had the better of him last season in the Champions League, especially. So yeah, more than worthy of finishing in the top six. I think he could have even finished top five in another world. But yeah, very fair, and huge credit to him for the season he delivered. Moving on to the top five, fifth was Rafinha, over 60 goals and assists, 61 to be precise. It's the first time uh, after Messi and Ronaldo that any players delivered more than 60 goals and assists in a season. And again, I think for most part of the season, if not for Acerbi's, last minute equalizer in the Champions League semi-final, I think Rafinha was a prime candidate for the Ballon d'Or for large parts of that season. even heading into April, made decisive games in the Champions League. He was up there. He scored a key goal at San Siro again, and he was outstanding. Really, I mean, again, from Rennes to Leeds, and to being, you know, just an absolute prominent figure of that Barca attack, um, really leading that attack, on his back was it's just an extraordinary feat. So I think he deserves so much of credit. But I do think he's hard done. I think he personally could have easily finished again in the podium. But yeah, fifth for me is rather low. I think he definitely deserved better given the season he had. It recently came out that he didn't even receive a single first place vote, which is crazy to me given how good he was. But I think that's what PR does as well because his teammate Lamine Yamal had all the limelight and all the eyes and attention. I think some of it got distracted away from him, and yeah, I thought that it's always tough. I think those votes probably got split, and it didn't help either at the end of it. But yeah, an unbelievable season from him. And hopefully there's more to come because he is a top player. Number four was Mo Salah. I'm a bit split on this again. He had a great season, extraordinary numbers in the Premier League last season. He won top scorer, top assister. I think again over 50 goals and assists in the league. But again, for me, I just think again, given how poor he's been, how ineffective he's been since the turn of the year in 2025 alone, he's been slow. There's no denying it. Champions League, where the big night where these awards, really matter, he wasn't really there. He was invisible against PSG both home and away in round of 16. And Nuno Mendes, easily locked him up. Really, for being honest, he barely had a moment. So not just based on those two Champions League games, I just think even in the league, his form obviously went down a bit from the sensational first half he had, which is fair, which is to be expected, but it went down quite drastically if you look at his output. Really dried up. At one point, he should have easily broken the Premier League assists record, which stood at 20 assists, but he ended with only 19, and it should have been more because he had like over 15, I think, by December, by Jan. So yeah, he just definitely slowed down a fair bit this year, and even start of this season, he's been rather poor. So yeah, I think the first half of the season, first 6 months, really carried him in this berth and in this position. Moving on to the podium top three, on number three was Vitinha. Yeah, really good season. But again, for me, it's like I don't think he's worthy of finishing ahead of Rafinha. I don't think he was better. Pedri as well, I thought had a better season. You can put Pedri in that PSG team, and nothing changes. They win everything. But if you put Vitinha in that Barca team, I'm not sure you can say the same thing. That's how good Pedri is. But anyhow, he had an outstanding season again, much like João Neves, his compatriot. Won everything. With Portugal, Nations League, and in club football, they won everything there is. So, bar the Club World Cup, of course. But yeah, very key. He's an outstanding player, but for me, he's also, dare I say, slightly overrated. Um, Again, just given the fact where he finished, I don't think he's amongst the top three players in the world. But yeah, you can't knock him off. He had an outstanding season, and the way he's grown from what bench warm at Wolves, he was of course a very pivotal figure at Porto. He really grew into prominence there, and but this season, last season, he was the heartbeat of that midfield. He really controlled the tempo, dictated that midfield really well. So can't fault him. Definitely deserves its plaudits. And then number two was of course Lamine Yamal, and I'm happy he finished second. I think it's fair. I think it's the right ranking. I think he deserves second. For me, again, he's undoubtedly the best player in the world. Even last season, if you look at it, he was the best player in the world. This season, currently, he is the best player in the world. However, for me, Ballon d'Or should be always awarded to the player who had the best season in club football. and I think that's where Dembele has the edge, and that's where for me he deserves it more. So yeah, for as good as Yamal was, as unbelievable talent, as prodigal a talent as he is, I think it's only fair he gets second. We know his time is going to come very very soon, and I'm sure he's going to rack up a lot of Ballon d'Ors. It's inevitable given his prodigious talent. But yeah, I think it's only fair he finished second. He still, deserves huge credit. Barca with and without Lamine Yamal are a completely different team. I think that's the key standout. Without Yamal, and even before he broke onto the scene, their attack, he's completely transformed them. And for him, for again 17-year-old boy to have the efficiency, the final output, the decision making, it's anything like I've ever seen before. The decision making in the final third is freakish levels of talent, and I think he's undoubtedly the best teenager world football has ever seen. I don't think even Ronaldo and Messi, played at this level, this higher level as he has, and he really carried Barca on his back, even in the Champions League. He was the best player on the pitch, in both semi-finals. He was unplayable, he was unstoppable, and if not for Jan Sommer having a super night at San Siro in that second leg, you know, we would have very well could have won the Ballon d'Or as well if we saw that Barca PSG final. Who knows what would have transpired on that night? But yeah, again, just a generational talent, best player in the world, an absolute joy to behold, and yeah, always just amazes me how good he is. Every time I watch him, it's quite an experience, quite a player. So yeah, lots more I'm sure that will be coming Yamal's way. But lastly, we have to talk about the two Ballon d'Or winners, which are which are Aitana Bonmati and Ousmane Dembele. Aitana Bonmati, firstly as well, huge congratulations to her. It's a third Ballon d'Or uh, on the trot, and that is just an extraordinary achievement. And yeah, I think she is probably on talent, on ability, the best female footballer. By all means, I don't watch as much female football as women's football as I should or as I want to, but yeah, huge plaudits to her. She had an amazing season. Of course, Barca did miss out on the Women's Champions League to Arsenal, but she was still, I thought, the best player on the pitch of what I watched that night. And yeah, just really full credit to her. But Ousmane Dembele, of course, was the men's Ballon d'Or winner, and it is just for me the story of Ousmane Dembele is one of resilience, of determination, courage, spirit, desire, and it's a real inspiration. For me, that's the way I see it. I'm really happy for him. And this is a player who, when he broke out in 2017, alongside like Kylian Mbappe, many touted him to win the Ballon d'Or one day. Many touted him to become one of the best players in the world. And of course, the journey he's had from Rennes to Dortmund to Barcelona, now to PSG. It's a really crowning moment for him, and he deserves it. He's always for me been a prodigious talent, given his ambidextrous qualities, and just he's got everything. There's nothing Ousmane Dembele can't do uh, on a football pitch, and we saw that last season at his very best in his full flow. Injury free. He delivered 37 goals, 14 assists, and he was the reason why PSG won the Champions League. He really led from the front by all means. The way he pressed, the way he led the whole attack, playing in false nine, which is an unfamiliar position. For him first season playing that, to for him to deliver that campaign speaks volumes about his quality, and he deserves that. I'm just so very happy for him. He's had a hard time of it. We can remember his good days, and just how and when he was exploding at Rennes and at Dortmund, but the sheer criticism he got, and probably a lot of it rightfully so, deservedly so, at Barcelona, not being able to stay fit, not being able to contribute, you know, when it mattered the most. We all remember his miss at 3-0 in the Champions League semi-final in 2019, last minute, just a lot of moments, he just did not have the best time for Barcelona. Uh, just It just didn't quite come together, be it injuries, on and off field issues. But I think PSG has been a really new lease of life for him. He's Paris born and bred as well, and that's why when you look at the reactions, I think they were very heartfelt and yeah, very awe-inspiring to see how Paris, of course, took to him as well, all the Parisians and the French faithful as well. But again, I think more than worthy of winning the Ballon d'Or, and I just hope for his sake, given the talent he is, I hope he can continue to blossom and progress and stay at the top of world football and be amongst the world's best players for a few seasons to go. He's still got age on his side, and yeah, it's just crazy. Who would have thought, given all the hardships, all the troubles Dembele had in the recent past, that he would have won a Ballon d'Or ahead of Lewandowski, Haaland, Mbappe. But I think that in itself is a beautiful story. And that's where football is. So it's an amazing story, very inspirational, and he deserves his crowning moment, and I'm very happy for him. And yeah, like as a football fan, again, we all hope he will have another spectacular season and continue to show the quality he has on and off the pitch. So again, huge credit to Aitana Bonmati, to Ousmane Dembele, and all the 30 nominees. And that was that for my reaction on the Ballon d'Or Top 30. I hope you guys liked it. Do let me know in the comments below how you found the ceremony, what you made of the rankings, who you would have where, and just your viewpoints. I'd love to hear. So do share in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.